Hi, hello there. Thanks for joining me today on this Wisdom Wednesday. Happens to be episode number 110. Oh my goodness, how did that happen? Today's episode is 3 tips on how to wake up happier. So I know that how many of you have misconceptions about sleep and how long you should sleep, and have also collected a whole bunch of bad habits that you've developed about the way that you go to sleep and your waking up processes. So I'll be sharing a few of my favorite tips today that you won't find pretty much anywhere else on the internet. But before we go into that, there we go. Remind ourselves about my motto, which is to live in harmony with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. Listen, waking up as a grouch certainly does not open the flow for you to do this, to live in harmony with your infinite wisdom. So if you don't know me, my name is Carrie Fox, and one of my main missions on earth is to be a constant reminder of your infinite wisdom connection, and to remind you over and over and over again that that guidance is always available for you. You are never alone. You are never really lost. You're just blocked. And by the way, I like to remind people that the reason I do these videos is because you're thriving. Well, that's really my passion. So today that passion has led me to addressing how we as human beings use, or more politely or correctly, neglect sleep, and some of the things that I see so many people do who have really developed terrible sleep habits that prevent them from waking up happy. So let's face it, there are just too many reasons to set up your life so that you can get a good night's sleep. Your body needs sleep. It needs it to heal. Matthew Walker is the director of UC Berkeley's Center for Human Sleep Sciences, and he explains how neglecting sleep undercuts your creativity, your problem solving, your decision making, your learning, your memory, your health, your heart health and brain health, your mental health and emotional well-being, along with your immune system, and even your lifespan is affected by the quality and quantity of your sleep and your ability to wake up happy. So, in brief, sleep restocks the armory of your immune system. Good sleep helps fight off malignancies and prevents infections and wards off all manners of sickness. But nevertheless, poor sleep can affect your ability to connect with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. You know that universe connection that you have with your cosmic consciousness is constantly influencing you, giving you information and signs and nudging you. And during sleep, that's a great time because your consciousness is kind of set aside and it can talk to us, and we can be a part of cosmic consciousness so much easier during sleep. But the universe and cosmic consciousness is also trying to connect with us during the day in our consciousness, and how we are during the day is affected by how we wake up. So when you are out of harmony, basically you are blocking the communications from your higher self, from the universe, from cosmic consciousness. Now listen, many of us wish we had the ability to sleep whenever and wherever we wanted. But as adults, we have not only made it through all of the worst times of our lives, but so many of us live with stress, and we've developed all these terrible habits. Another thing that Matthew Walker, that's his name, shared is this very concise piece of information, this point of view. Pay attention to this. I love this. If we all slept enough and well, properly, our healthcare burden would plummet. We would have better mental health and fewer suicides. Our business would be more productive. Global economies would be healthier. Our roads would be safer and our children would be smarter. Sleep is the very best health insurance you could ever wish for. And all this has to include how we end our sleep cycle when we wake up. So let's just take a moment again to remind ourselves that you don't just lay down and then go into or stay asleep for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. What really happens is that your body goes through sleep cycles where you lay down and then you relax and then you relax more. And then you go down into a state where you actually let go of consciousness and you fall into a deep sleep, down into a peacefulness where actually somebody could come into the room and it does not wake you. That's your deep sleep. And then you come up from that deep sleep and you come up a little bit towards consciousness. And then you go back down again. That's a cycle. Now, this basically goes on all night long until your body is done doing its resting and recuperating. Then you come back up into consciousness and you awaken. How long you sleep and the length of each sleep cycle is different for everyone. I'd like you to take a moment here and consider how much stress, fear, anxiety you have in your life and how this affects your sleep cycles. And remember, that stress, fear, and anxiety are manageable things. Those are things you can learn to get rid of so that you can sleep better. And then it's time to learn about how to wake up happy. Now, there are hundreds of better sleep, wake up happier suggestions on the net, like limiting alcohol, because alcohol is not a sleep aid. And in this particular place and time in America, I'm amazed at how many women is what I deal with mostly, who really believe they need wine before they can go to sleep. And I'm telling you, it might help induce sleep, but it's one of the most powerful suppressors of deep and healing sleep. And that's what your body requires to heal and regenerate itself. So for those of you who are in a habit or a belief or are telling yourself you need a drink, you need wine before you go to bed, I just from the bottom of my heart want to open the door for you to really think about that and really pay attention to the quality of your sleep. Not if you can get to sleep, the quality of your sleep and the way you wake up when you do that. So make sure that your body is properly nourished and hydrated before you sleep. And really, that does not include alcohol. Now, one of the most important things is being ready to make a decision to learn how to wake up happy. And I'm going to assume that you are ready to learn how to do this because you're watching this video. So really, what does that mean to wake up happy? Now, this is completely in my perception and my experience being on this planet for 75 years, 50 plus of them I have been dealing with myself and other people as we acknowledge this experience and the adventure of learning how to sleep well and wake up happy. Wake up happy means you're not waking up feeling grumpy and getting out of bed with that impression that so many people have that they have to have coffee. No, they have to have 3 cups of coffee or some stimulant to face their day and be ready for the day. Over the years, I have experienced different ways that people wake up and start their day. Once, many years ago, I was cohabitating with this wonderful, successful, amazing man who said to me one morning upon rising, "Can you somehow stop whistling or singing first thing in the morning?" Now, that is really the first time that I ever remember having my attention drawn to the way people wake up, how some people wake up happy and singing and whistling and other people don't. It was the beginning of my wake up happy experiment. I also know people whose family would keep marbles in the freezer to put into their bed when it was time to get up for work. And I know people who have to have really, really loud and annoying alarm clocks, or they put the alarm clock on the other side of the room so that they have to get out of bed to shut it off. I know people who can't sleep without the TV on, barraging their brains and systems with continuous noise all night long, really killing their cellular regeneration and rehealing time. Now, my feelings about all of this then and still are, gosh, that is so sad that people have to not get good sleep and to start off their day in conflict and chaos. So my tip number one is to change your story. Give conscious thought to what you say to yourself and others about how you start your day. Do you hear yourself saying, I need 3 cups of coffee to function? If so, think about it. What if that's not true? What if that is just an excuse that you've been believing and repeating, kind of making it true, but in reality, you have so much more control over your body and your life than you think? Your stories can become your excuses for why you are doing something and why you can't change. And I'm telling you, you can. What if you can change that 3-cup story and dependence, because it's just a story that you created? Whatever the story is that you tell yourself, you can decide on a new story. Take some time today, either right now or later in the day, and try to identify your story or stories. And I want to include here things like medical diagnoses, or is it diagnoses? Anyway, it breaks my heart how many people I have coached that I know personally who use the excuse of, I'm diagnosed as this, as an excuse. And I know that's a whole different subject and it's not the part of this lesson, but I want to plant that seed for you right now. So right now, let's accept the fact that you have the power to change your story. Write something in the comments. Send me an email if you want to hear more about anything that I just said. Okay, tip number 2, your sleep environment. Now, there are so many things that actually fit under this category, but what I'm going to focus on today is temperature. Notice the image that I used is a lady that's sleeping under the coolness of water. And yes, I know that if you're sharing a bed or a bedroom with someone, that's going to add complications to what I'm saying. But let's just consider this. Your body does its best resting and recuperation at a cooler temperature than its normal body temperature. Now, for myself, I've been experimenting with this for decades, and I have found that I really like a 60 to 64 degree room to sleep in. I seem to experience the most wonderful sleeping in those temperatures. And by the way, I also control the humidity. Now, during the winter, I pay less attention to the actual temperature in the room. And I do keep a digital thermometer in my bedroom on my dresser, and also other rooms where I spend a lot of time. I will have a digital thermometer near me. I don't pay a lot of attention to the thermometer that controls the heat or coolness in my room that's on the wall. I pay more attention to the temperature that I'm actually in. So when I'm sleeping in the wintertime, I pay more attention to the place and time when my nose gets cold, because my body is usually covered by, in the wintertime, more than just a sheet. And if my nose starts getting cold, that's the point that I need to say, oh, I need a little more heat in the room. I have a terrible time trying to sleep in a 70 degree or warmer room. I like it cooler than that. And also, I do adjust the covers on my bed according to the seasons. So the bottom line of this is a cooler room gives you a better night's sleep, as well as providing a better environment for your cellular rest and recuperation. So That's about all I want to say about your sleep environment. Lots of different things are involved here, but what I'm talking today is mostly about temperature and, of course, balancing that with humidity. So for tip number 3, how to prevent brain fog, which I also think of mostly as sleep hangovers. You know, that foggy feeling that you sometimes get, especially when you find yourself being someone who thinks you need coffee. That's usually because you're having a sleep hangover. And what that is actually is something that has caused that. And let me try to explain that a little more carefully here. Do you remember when we discussed sleep cycles near the beginning of this episode? It was that sign graph that depicts how we actually cycle up and down several times during the night, and that each of us are different. So there's no set protocol on how long those cycles are, how many cycles you get per sleep night, or how long that sleep night can be. And of course, you can find out what yours is by paying attention and maybe keeping records. But again, that's a separate subject. I found it very interesting to discover that my personal sleep patterns, how many cycles I go through and how long I typically sleep, help me find out what is natural for me. And there are many other people on earth, millions of them, that are like me, who have recognized that when we're healthy and happy, our natural sleep cycle is 5.5 to 6 hours. After which time, my body will gently wake up naturally. By when my cycle comes up to the beta consciousness, it comes up to the top of this chart here. And when I'm healthy and happy, it almost always happens between 5 and 6 hours. I wake up easily. I feel bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as my mom would say, and I'm ready to start that particular day's adventure. Now, if I happen to have gone to bed too early because I was tired, that sleep time of 5.5 to 6 hours commonly means that I'm waking up about 3 a.m. And in fact, I'm willing to bet that there are many of you who are listening to this episode sometimes find yourself waking up early like that too. So what do you do when you wake up naturally, even if it's in the middle of the night? That is the key point here. Do you tell yourself, oh my God, it's 3 a.m. That's too early. I have to go back to sleep, which is what the majority of people do. And then you toss and turn trying to make yourself go back to sleep. Or do you go ahead and get up because you are openly, willingly, happily, naturally, and basically awake? Your body is basically saying to you, okay, I'm done sleeping now. It is when you make yourself go back to sleep that brain fog thing, that sleep hangover thing starts getting created. Because when you go back to sleep or try to go back to sleep, more often than not, the next time you wake up is when you are not at the top of your sleep cycle. It's when you're at one of those inner times, like what's shown on the chart here in blue, that either the alarm goes off or somebody comes into the room or something like that, when you are coming out of sleep. So you are not up at the beta level where your body is done with its cycle and it's ready to be awake. This is when you end up having sleep hangovers. Just think about the people who have to use loud alarm clocks or have to hit the snooze button over and over and over and over again. That's what's happening. You're being woken up on a part of your cycle is not at your natural coming up from sleep into the beta. Really, that's the situation. Waking up naturally and allowing yourself to get up when you wake up so that you can live in harmony with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. So different people require different amounts of sleep. Sleep experts agree that 7 to 8 hours is ideal for most adults. That does not mean for everyone. And few people realize that too much sleep also can be damaging and cause sleep hangovers. And finding the sleep duration and cycles that is best for you is the best thing that I can give you today in these 3 hints. Now, I know that some of you have years of sleep and waking habits, bad habits that you need to think about and recognize and decide to change. But the good thing is that you can. So remember, a good night's sleep is important for your health and well-being, and your emotional life and your personal way of being in the world is directly dependent upon the quality of your sleep and your awakenings. So tip number 1, change your story. Are you defending your morning grouchiness with some excuses? If so, create a different story. Tip number 2, pay attention to your sleep environment, but mostly to your room's temperature and humidity. Tip number 3, how to prevent sleep hangovers is to get up when you naturally wake up. See what happens when you are alert. Now, I know most every single one of you have something on your to-do list, that things that keep piling up and you never seem to find time to do. If you find yourself waking up naturally in the middle of the night, give yourself the gift of getting up and spending, even if it's just a couple hours, doing something you love or something that needs to be taken care of, something that you can get off your list. And you might be very surprised that you may not even need a nap in the next day. But if you do need a nap in the next day, or even a 10-minute power nap, go ahead and take it. But experiment with this and find out what your sleep cycles are and what happens when you wake up naturally instead of making yourself go back to sleep. So the next session is in 2 weeks from today, and I usually have that looked up on my calendar. And the next session is about life's up and downs, basically shows you that you're still in the game. And you can watch these at the Facebook page, Harmony Enterprises with Carrie Fox. And of course, you can go on to YouTube afterwards, where the replays can be seen there also. So that's basically my spiel for today. I want to thank you so much for stopping by to spend this time with me. Again, please reach out to me anytime in the comments of any of these videos, or send an email to carrie.fox@harmonyenterprises.net. And I'd be glad to look at doing a session on some questions you might have, or just answering you individually. But for now, it's time for both of us to go. I hope you go on to this day and enjoy your grand adventure. Bye for now.